And then, so we also want to share a little bit about who we are. So we're going to kick things off with introductions with Kelly.
Awesome, everyone. Welcome to UC Berkeley. My name is Kelly, and I'm a career educator here at Berkeley Career Engagement. So I thought I'd just start by telling you all a little bit about who I am and my approach to working with students. And then I'll hand it over to my colleague Heidi to do the same, and then we'll jump into the material that we have for today. So I'm a former UC Berkeley alum, or I'm a Berkeley alum, I should just say that. And some of the identities I held during my time at UC Berkeley was a first-gen low-income student, and I was also a transfer student. So if there are some transfer students in the room, I definitely feel some of the sentiments you have about transferring. And then also for our first-year students, welcome as well. So my career journey is, as many folks, share, very non-linear. I come from like a low-income background, and as the child of immigrants, I really had no idea what I wanted to pursue after I graduated. And I thought just going to college alone was going to be sufficient. And as I approached my senior year, I was just having this moment of freaking out and feeling really confused. And I actually met with a career coach at the office I'm currently working at. We talked about some of my interests and my strengths and how that might line up with the world of work. After I graduated, I did a couple of different things in the world of education and higher education specifically. So kind of to backtrack a little bit, in my last year of college, I sort of found a lot of opportunities. I had 3 different internships and a work study job within that allowed me to explore my interests in advising. And so through those experiences, I realized this was something I really wanted to pursue and decided I wanted to do that further. So I took a gap year and worked for Pre-College Trio and Gear Up for LA, which are both organizations that help low-income students get acclimated and transition to higher education. And then I went on to pursue my master's in higher education administration at the University of Pennsylvania. And throughout this whole process, I think that navigating my early 20s was really difficult. And one of the resources I picked up along the way that I wanted to share with you all is this book that you see on the right-hand corner. It's called Quarter Life: The Search for Self in Early Adulthood by Satya Doyle Biak. And it really helps contextualize a lot of the experiences, both negative and positive, that arise from just being in your early 20s. And so I'm going to share that with you all and flag it in case it's helpful as you navigate your journey. I'm really excited to be welcoming you to campus and to hopefully work with you in the fall, spring, and beyond. Heidi?
Thanks a lot, Kelly. Similar to Kelly, I came from an immigrant family. My parents worked really long hours. And so there was this expectation, right? Go to school and go to college. And so when I went to college, I actually majored in pre-med, but really realized pretty quickly that this wasn't for me. But I was very distraught in that I would let my parents down. It took a lot of reflecting and meeting with a counselor to kind of work through that. But eventually I decided to major in English, and I really enjoyed that. But then I was also freaking out when it was time to graduate, and what do I do with that? So when I graduated, I didn't have a job lined up, and I'm from New York City, and it's quite expensive. So I actually temped with Time Warner Publishing in the marketing division for a bit. Tried that, realized it really wasn't for me. And then I temped with the New York Philharmonic, the sales division. And so it was a good way to kind of see what nonprofit arts was like. But around that time, I talked with a classmate who was actually teaching abroad in South Korea. And, I was curious about that. I never got to travel abroad. Or study abroad because I thought it was too expensive. So I thought, why not take this chance? So I applied, and I got to teach English at Sungmyung Women's University in Seoul, Korea. And so that was a really great way to teach and travel a bit with my own money. And so from that, it kind of planted a seed that I might want to do some sort of counseling work. But when I got back to New York City, I realized I was woefully underqualified to do counseling type work. So I, got in through nonprofit work where I did development work, writing grant proposals, and then on the side, helping a youth counselor at a nonprofit. And so that really opened up just just getting more experience. And then I pursued a master's degree in social work, which led me to working in workforce development. And eventually I got to work at a community college and then here at Berkeley. So my through line, what I found after a lot of different experiences was that I like to help people figure out what to do with their career and to listen to their hopes and dreams. And so it didn't happen right away, but it was something that I learned through these different experiences. So hopefully, hearing my story, Kelly's story, you'll see that most of us don't have it all figured out, and that way, and that, really it's a journey, and we are here to help you, and definitely looking forward to sharing our resources and to meet with you to help you with your process.
Awesome. Thanks, Heidi. So I'm going to jump into a little bit about what we do, and then Heidi and I are going to tag team. If you have questions, please feel free to drop them in the chat, and we'll be answering them throughout this hour session as well as towards the end as well. So one question we get asked a lot is, what does your office actually do? And in a nutshell, what we do is we help you figure out your post-college goals, like what you want to do and the tangible steps to really achieving them. And I think that really happens through 3 different ways, as you can see from this little chart on the right-hand side. So it's clarity, competitiveness, and connections. And what clarity refers to is really just identifying, what does your future direction look like as it relates to your goals, your skills, your interests, your personality. All of these different factors fold into decision making. So helping you get clear on what are those steps and what is that end goal. And along the way, we understand that in our social society, we really value and emphasize connections. And so we connect you with the employers and alumni who are already in those spaces you're curious about, so that you can start to have conversations that might just help you get contacts into the field and hopefully even eventually become mentorship relationships in the future. And then lastly, competitiveness refers to really enhancing your marketability. As many of you might already have, some high school experience, maybe clubs, extracurriculars that you were a part of. We really want to help you draw out those transferable skills that are important to employers for future work. So that is what we do. And our mission really is about dedicating or advancing equity and access to career resources for every recent alum and student of UC Berkeley. And just a quick note here, when you graduate, you actually have 2 years of full service, one-on-one service with our office. So something to kind of keep in mind. Alrighty, so 2 tools to help you get clear on that first part. So I mentioned clarity earlier, and to help you get clear on what's possible in the world of work and really explore your options, I'm going to flag these 2 that you can bookmark and refer to later. So on the left-hand side, we have the Where Do Cal Grads Go? And this is essentially data that we gather or collect from all graduating students. So when you graduate further down the line, you're going to get a survey called the First Destination Survey that asks you to tell us a little bit about your post-cal goals, whether it's working, interning, going to grad school, or continuing to look for work. And that information feeds into this system or tool so that future students can kind of see, like, who are the employers that are hiring and what are those job titles. And you can also look by your specific major. So if you're still contemplating majors, or if you already have a major decided, but you want to see what people have done, you can take a look and get some ideas based off of that. And then on the right-hand side, we have the What Can I Do with This Major? And basically what it does is it clusters different areas or career fields and gives you information related to what kind of employers you might want to target, strategies that you might want to implement now to set yourself up for success. And then it also gives you specific job boards for that industry, as well as professional associations, should you want to network a little bit with people in those fields. So both of those links are at the bottom. And I think we're also going to share out this slide deck, so you'll have access to this as well. All right, so Heidi mentioned Handshake a little bit. And so I really want to emphasize Handshake because at UC Berkeley, it's the platform for all things career related. So it's a major hub where you can book appointments. So these are one-on-one coaching sessions that last about 30 minutes. And this is also a platform where you can find opportunities such as internships, jobs, and work study positions. And every student has access to Handshake, so you don't need to create an account. You simply just need to activate your account and then complete your profile. And then you can get access to all of those things I mentioned, as well as learn about different events like career fairs, workshops, and such, which we'll be diving into a little bit further down the line. So to make an appointment, I wanted to kind of show you the steps to do so, and you can always revisit these screenshots further down the line if you have hard time locating this. So when you go into Handshake, under where it says number 1, that's what your platform is going to look like, or what the home interface is going to look like. And you're going to go to that left-hand side where it says Career Center and click that. And then from there, you're going to click Appointments and then Career Counseling and schedule a new appointment. And then based on your college, you'll be able to see the different appointment types that correspond with that. So for instance, this is an example of a student who's in the College of Chemistry. They would be able to select that. And then we also have career educators who are very specialized. So international student counseling is one of them, as well as appointments for students with disabilities. So that's just a little glimpse and preview of how to make an appointment on Handshake. And then Heidi, I'm going to pass it over to you.
All right, thank you so much, Kelly. So Handshake, as you saw, you can make an appointment. So we'll talk more about what we can help with in our appointments. But in this slide, you'll see that you can actually register for events. And so these events are a great way to connect with alumni, employers, explore different companies, organizations, and career paths. And a lot of students, when they see these events, they get a little bit nervous and feel like, oh, I don't know if I want to go into that. Can I still go? Certainly, you don't have to know that as we see in the screen, we see investment banking. You don't necessarily need to, know exactly that you want to go into investment banking, but it could be just a great way for you to just see what it's like and hear some information or learn about internships where you can get hands-on experience. Through the events page, this is also where you can see our upcoming career fairs, and we'll see a graphic where we have, thank you, Kelly, our upcoming career fairs. And so this is where you can meet with a lot of different employers, where you can even explore different organizations and opportunities. So you'll see that we have internship fairs, we have fairs where students can find both jobs and internships. We also have a graduate and law school fair. So when you actually go to Handshake, you can see the employers or the schools that are participating, and you can click on each of those employers or schools to get more information. And this is where you would register for those events. All right, back to you, Kelly.
Awesome. Thanks, Heidi. Before we move forward, I'm actually going to bring us back a little bit because I realized I kind of jumped rather quickly past events. So let me just go back to appointments and make a quick note on this. So some of the topics that we're able to support you with include, early career exploration. So say you're like, I really enjoy arts and entertainment, or can see myself working in this field, but I'm not really quite sure how to get there or how my strengths might fold into these career paths. We're able to have conversations with you around those things. And then we can also support you with application materials. So resume and cover letter building, interviewing, salary negotiation, decision-making around what opportunities you might want to pursue, whether it's like evaluating a job offer or deciding on grad programs, sort of the full range. So just wanted to make a quick note on some of those topics. And then later in this presentation, Heidi is also going to talk a little bit about the difference between academic advising and career advising, as we know that those questions do come up as well. So in line with the topic of building experience, we wanted to tell you a little bit about the ways that you can do so. There are, of course, external, like outside employers that recruit students for different internships and jobs. But on campus, there are actually a number of great ways for you to explore careers and really build experience. And the purpose of these experiences is to really help you build these professional skills to help you become marketable for future employment. So perhaps you're in a club or you're doing something such as URAP, like the Undergraduate Research Apprenticeship Program. These are all great opportunities to build your research skills and what people call like your soft or essential skills, such as teamwork, collaboration, and such. So I'm going to flag two quick things. These are just ones that are really like not common, but these are ones that students have pursued on campus, just to show you some examples. So the first being Cal in the Capital, which is hosted through the Public Service Center. And this is an opportunity for students who want to go into public service or work in government related roles. And this is where students go in for a summer internship in DC, and they can work in like a nonprofit setting, media center, private company, think tank. They can also work in congressional offices. So these are opportunities on campus for a summer. And then the second thing I'm going to flag as well is URAP, which is the Undergraduate Research Apprenticeship Program. And so if you are someone who wants to explore the world of academia, get some experience in research for future goals, this is a great way to do so. And the applications are actually going to be opening up really soon at the end of this month. But in the meantime, you can actually look through the list of open positions and see if there's a project you really want to be a part of or a professor you'd really like to learn from. And then on this link that's on the slide, we have compiled a list of experiential learning opportunities, such as these on-campus jobs or opportunities that you can look further in depth. Now, Handshake is also going to be a really great way for you to identify opportunities as well. So jobs, internships, and work study positions can all be found on Handshake, which is that career hub that I mentioned earlier on in this presentation. So as a quick note, work study jobs are basically like part-time positions for students who are eligible for financial aid. And it allows you to basically like earn money to help you pay for education while also gaining work experience. And you can find these opportunities both on Handshake and then also on the work study platform, which is in the next slide. So on Handshake, you would go to the jobs tab on that left-hand side, and then you'll see a bunch of different opportunities. And to start, you could just put in the internship filter or press the internship filter and just see what comes up. But if at this point you have a general idea of a couple of industries that you want to dive into, you can put those filters at the bottom of the filters page as well. So these are really great ways to build experience or find opportunities. And then as I referenced earlier, there are a number of part-time jobs and student jobs. So really commonly the rec sports facility as well as Cal Dining Services hire our students. In our office, we have a number of work study positions as well. And if you click that link on that right-hand side, it links to our page where you can find a more comprehensive resource on these different positions.
Okay, on the next slide, so just I know Kelly mentioned work study. So there's actually going to be a work study fair on September 5th from 12 to 4 at Lower Sproul. So we included a picture because we weren't sure if you knew where that was yet. And so when you receive the slide deck, which we'll send after the presentation, you can find out more information about work study. On the next slide, we have information about the Step into Tech job fair. So Student Tech Services under Student Affairs Information Technology, they have their own fair to share work opportunities, which could be work study or regular student positions. And so that's on September 10th from 10:30 to 2:30. Right in front of Dwinell, and you can scan the QR code for more information. One thing I do want to stress is that you don't have to, even though it says step into tech, it doesn't mean that you need to have tech skills in order to be eligible to apply. And for a number of roles, you actually don't need experience. They're willing to train you. So I know some first-year students feel a little apprehensive when they see this because they're like, oh, I don't have these skills yet, or I want to study this, but I don't have the skills. Just know that they have a range of different opportunities and they're willing to train you.
Thanks for flagging those opportunities, Heidi. And As you start to identify positions you want to apply for and work on applications, you'll find that many of these positions require at the minimum a resume, some a cover letter, and then the interviews as well. And so one of the things that we support students with is building a resume. So if you have nothing at this point, that's perfectly fine. We'll work with you on creating like a first draft and then supporting you as you make revisions to your document because it's really a living document. And one quick tip that I'll throw in there is keep a copy that has everything you've ever done. This would be called your master copy. And it could be, very comprehensive, cutting across different areas and different fields. And then as you kind of hone in on your specific areas of interest, you might pull different projects, extracurriculars, all of those things for a one pager, which is typically the standard for resume lengths. We've also shared a couple of resources. So we have resume tips and samples if you wanted to preview those and just get a glimpse of what that might look like, and draw some inspiration, as well as cover letter tips and samples and some resources on interviewing. Students can also book and reserve rooms at our office via handshake. So we have a number of interview rooms. If you're struggling to find a quiet space on campus or whatnot, you can book one of these interview rooms in preparation. I think this is your slide, Heidi.
Oh, sorry about that.
No, you're good.
So this is just information about meeting with one of us. So we're your career educators, and we can talk to you in one-on-one appointments on a range of topics. So whether it's career exploration, a very common question we get, what should I do with my major? Or I don't know what to do for a major, right? Or internship and job search support, which will include the resume cover letter review, mock interview support. We also talk to students about job offers. For many students, a job offer is something they hadn't experienced before. So we talk through salary negotiation, what goes into a job offer. Another range of questions we get are around grad school and professional school. Should I go to grad school? Should I go to law school or medical school? Or I want to go, but how do I get started in terms of building an application? And there's so many more things that we can cover around career readiness, including for recent grads. A number of grads might come to us because, as Kelly mentioned, we see students 2 years after they graduate. Hey, I have my dream job, but I'm miserable and I don't like it. What should I do next? Or how do I advance in my career now that I started my first job? So we can cover a range of questions, and we can meet with students in person, via video, phone, and even provide written feedback. And you'll see our wonderful faces in the graphic. And on starting September 16th, we'll have our career peer advisors on board. And so they'll be available for workshops and drop-in meetings where you can drop in to get support. And so there's a link to their hours and more information about them, and you can access that. All right, on to the next slide, Kelly. Oh, me, that is me. So just wanting to clarify, I know students get confused with academic advising and career advising. And so wanted to just make that clarification just because sometimes it's not so clear. So you'll meet with academic advisors to help you with decision-making and planning, figure out like, how do I get from, okay, I'm starting out with my first semester, and what's the pathway academically to graduation. They'll help you develop a plan for coursework with your major and minor, support you when you're navigating some academic policies and issues. Like if things come up, hey, I need to take a semester off, how does that impact me academically and with my degree? And they'll also connect you to some campus resources. So complementary services that we provide are career advising, right? So we help you with the career decision-making process, right? So you might talk with your academic advisor about majoring in sociology. We'll talk to you about how do you explore what to do with that degree, and how can you get hands-on experience and gain some transferable skills that you can market for future opportunities. So that kind of is in line with the second point, right? We want to develop a plan with you. The beauty of UC Berkeley is that there's so much to offer, but it can feel overwhelming, right? Oh, I can't do it, all of this. What's my plan? So we can help you figure out a plan that's right for you that can incorporate internships, jobs, URAP, fellowships, all of these activities that can really help you explore and build skills. We will also support you in looking for these opportunities. There are many resources out there, and students can feel overwhelmed with all these different platforms. And so we can, if you're telling us, hey, I think I want to, explore law or policy, then, we can kind of direct you and kind of help you focus your exploration to certain resources that can get you started. And similarly, we'll also direct you to complementary or other campus resources that will help support your career readiness and personal development process. And so we definitely work hand in hand, and often we will collaborate with academic advisors to really support your career readiness. But this is just a snapshot of some of how our roles are a little bit different and how we can support you.
Awesome. Thanks, Heidi, for helping make that distinction. And as we head towards the end of this presentation, I wanted to share some additional resources with you. So a lot of our resources here on this page are digital. So Forage is one of the new resources we've added to our toolkit this year. And for those of you who aren't familiar with both Forage and Parker Dewey, these are micro internship providers. So traditionally, when we think of internships, we think, full semester, maybe summer, and such. And what's really nice about Forage and Parker Dewey is they've made it really easy to do, to gain experience in a shorter period of time, anywhere between like 6 hours, or a couple of weeks. And so you can do these on your own time, on your own pace. And all three of these tools are available to you for free as a UC Berkeley student. So I highly recommend that you start with Forage and just kind of look through the offerings. They're basically project-based opportunities created in conjunction or in collaboration with top employers. And so this is a really great way to both explore like what's available, what's out there in the world of work, and then also gain experience. Once you've completed these project-based experiences, you can actually put this on your resume. So this will help boost your application, your resume for future employment as well. And then as you move through the application process, you'll find that some employers, many of them may request an interview with you. And so Big Interview is going to be a really helpful tool in helping you understand the rationale behind common interview questions, as well as modules to help you frame your responses and really just feel prepared and confident leading up to an interview. So these are just a couple of the resources, the digital resources that we have. And then Heidi's going to she's going to tell you in a later slide where to find us in person, where our physical location is. But before we jump into that, I wanted to share some additional resources for different communities here on campus. So we know that our community here at Cal is composed of a very diverse student body who hold many, many identities and intersectional identities. So we've compiled resources here on this page that are specific to the concerns of various communities. So that includes students with disabilities, international students, DACA and undocumented students, LGBTQ students, just to name a few. So feel free to check out these resources that are tailored to support your career planning process. And now I'm going to pass it over to Heidi.
Thanks, Kelly. We're located not exactly on campus, but across campus. So I know sometimes students are like, where are you? So we wanted to make sure it was super clear. And so we wanted to include a map. So Berkeley Career Engagement is located on Bancroft, and it's right across the street from Eshelman. For students who like bubble tea, we're right next to a bubble tea place, Rare Tea Berkeley. So if you want bubble tea and you're hankering for some career advice, there we are. You can also, just so you know, stop in to take a free professional photo. So we know LinkedIn is a way for students to showcase who they are professionally, and employers will look at profiles as well. And so we provide an a resource, a photo booth where students can take photos for free. So during the summer, you can come in if you're close to campus, Tuesday and Wednesday from 9 to 4. And then in the fall, once classes start, you can come in, drop in Monday to Thursday from 9 to 4. Now, if you have basic questions, we have a wonderful admin team that are at our main reception and are also online in our live reception. And so if you're like, hey, how do I navigate Handshake, or I don't know how to do this, they are going to be a great resource for quick questions. And you don't have to make an appointment for that kind of support. So just wanted to raise awareness on that resource. All right, so just some next steps. We're going to go into Q&A in a bit, but we wanted to just encourage you because I know it's a lot of information. So just some things that you can focus on to get you started for your first semester is meet with one of us, right? So you can make a one-on-one appointment. We will have 30-minute appointments, but we will also have something called resume or cover letter check-ins. So those are quick 15-minute check-ins that will start the first week of classes. If you're just like, hey, I see that there's some career fairs, I want to make a quick appointment, just know that that's an option too. Check out, an event. It's not necessarily to go to all of our events. You can prioritize, and if you're not sure where to start, we can certainly recommend some events for you to start checking out. Use our photo booth, right? So that can be, especially if you're building your LinkedIn profile, take a photo and see our office and feel free to explore as a way to get going, and then connect with us. And Kelly will talk about that and other ways to connect in a moment. So before we talk about how to stay connected, I'm just going to launch a Zoom poll just to see what you've learned, to get a pulse of where you are and if this session was helpful. And so I'm just going to bring that up, and then we'll open up questions. So feel free to ask any questions about what we do and just what you might need to support you with your job search, internship search, and career readiness. So I'm just going to launch this quick poll. It's 2 questions. So just to get a pulse on, was this helpful? Did you learn some new things that can support your career readiness and job internship search needs? So we'll just give you a few minutes for this, and then we'll share how we can stay connected and then open things up for questions.
I have a question. Are we able to just ask them right now?
Yeah, certainly. So while we're responding to the survey, certainly we can answer some questions now.
So I'm curious. You said that there are specific college, advisors and counselors. If I'm in, are there major ones as well in like LNS, for example?
Yes, we definitely have staff that will be supporting LNS students. We do have some career educators that are the main point persons for the point people for the college. However, there are a range of career educators that will support LNS students, engineering students, CS students, biological sciences students. So yes, there will be a number of us that will be supporting, especially with LNS. It's a large college. There'll be a lot of support.
And then I was sort of also wondering, would I be able to meet with like one in the Haas School of Business if I'm planning on applying to the school, or would that only be after joining the school that you'd be able to access those?
So you wouldn't be able to meet with the career educator for Haas until you're a Haas student. However, yes, but just know that a lot of the LNS career educators, they work with many students who are interested in diverse business careers.
All right, thank you.
Good question. Thank you. All right, we'll give the survey another moment. But I see, while we wait, I see a question Should we bring copies of our resume to career fairs as first years or just check them out? I think you can certainly bring copies of your resumes. What's nice is in Handshake, you can see who is coming. And so you can, figure out, okay, I think I want to talk to 10 different employers. I'll prepare 10 copies of my resume. So it doesn't hurt to have that, just so that employers know like what skills, what experiences you can bring. So I would say bring your resume with you, and come to one of those resume or cover letter check-in 15-minute sessions to have your resume checked if you have time before you go to the career fairs. Okay, so I'm going to end the poll. Thank you so much for sharing your feedback. We just want to ensure that these sessions are helpful for you. So definitely thankful for your feedback. So I'm going to end the poll. We'll go into how you can stay connected and answer more of your questions.
Yeah, thanks, Heidi. So Heidi mentioned earlier that you can come to our physical location, which is 2440 Bancroft, right across from Eshelman Hall. And you can also stay connected with us via social media. So we post pretty frequently, about 2 times a week on our Instagram and TikTok accounts. The QR codes are there for you. And we also have a library of different event recordings, workshops, and things along those lines on our YouTube channel as well. So feel free to flag these and refer back if you're looking for like small tidbits of information. This is sort of your go-to place. And then we also post about events as well. So this is a great way to stay informed in addition to looking on Handshake under the events tab. So I'm going to leave this up for a little bit so you guys can feel free to scan the QR code and then we can answer additional questions. You're welcome to unmute yourself and ask, or also post in the chat as well.
Okay, love these questions. So one question is, where do we go to sign up for those 15-minute resume check-ins? Great question. So earlier in the slide, Kelly showed that slide about making an appointment. So it would be an appointment type. And you would just go there through Handshake and make the resume or cover letter check-in appointment. Is there a dress code for career internship fairs? I think for the most part, there is no dress code. However, if, I wouldn't wear, I think you can wear your t-shirt, jeans, that's fine. But just, I think that's probably not the day where you want to wear pajamas, for example, right? So being mindful about what you wear, but I wouldn't get too stressed out, right? Because they understand students are going to the fairs in between classes. And so employers understand this. So I wouldn't worry too much, but maybe not be so casual, but certainly we want you to be comfortable in whatever you're wearing so you can be your best self when you're at the fair. Okay. I'm not sure if you went over, but where can we explore work research opportunities? I'm curious about if Berkeley offers any research on business economics related topics. Yeah, that makes total sense. So what Kelly mentioned earlier was the undergraduate research apprentice program. So it is going to be in the presentation that we'll be sharing out later. There is also a link in the chat. But what's so cool about RURAP is that there's so many different types of research projects, from business to STEM to social sciences to law to human rights. So that is a great entry point for getting access to research. So definitely recommend looking at that. And we can certainly help you with the application too. It's not a very complicated application, but there's usually some sort of short answer question. So sometimes students feel a little nervous about those. So if you need support with that, we can help you.
And I put a link to the current projects. They're being updated as we go throughout the rest of this month, but you can kind of get a preview of what's available now. And then I did see a question about which email to link to your Handshake account. And I would say for now, your Berkeley email address is probably what I would suggest. And then as you graduate and move on from UC Berkeley, I would link a personal account because you do get access to Handshake after you graduate or still retain access. And so if you know you're not going to be checking your Berkeley email addresses frequently, then I would attach a personal email.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, and we will be sharing the recording and the slides after this session. So I know some students messaged me to say they had to join a little late or their Wi-Fi is not working out. So yeah, no worries. And I'm also going to put my email in the chat. So if questions do come up, feel free to email me. We definitely want you to feel welcome. And I know it's a lot of information. It can feel overwhelming. So feel free to reach out. Okay, so there was a question, great question. What does the timeline look like for finding a work-study job? Do jobs become less accessible after a certain point in the semester? So it will vary. So right now is probably, there are different cycles depending on the department. And so I think the fact that there's a work-study fair and the STEP and Tech fair that we talked about earlier, the start of the semester is a good way to see what's out there. You can also look at the work study page that Kelly referenced earlier. But, department needs will change. So definitely keep checking Handshake or the work study page to see if there are any new opportunities. Sometimes later in the fall, because there might be students that graduate in December 2024, departments might need new staff. So they'll be posting perhaps before the end of the semester for the spring semester if they need staff. And then you'll see, like for our office, we recruit our peer advisors in the springtime to start in the fall semester. So you'll see those cycles, but definitely check Handshake. And you can also actually put alerts for jobs or types of jobs within Handshake so that you'll get notified. Great questions. Any other questions?
Hi, I have a quick question. As a incoming freshman, I know like my resume might not be as competitive as, let's say, a third year or fourth year. Do you have any advice for incoming freshmen on how to make their resumes more competitive?
Yeah, I can take this one. And then Heidi, if you want to add anything else. So as a first year student, I think you're going to be leveraging a lot of your high school experience. So projects, extracurriculars, clubs, and that's perfectly fine. So there are a lot of strengths and relevant skills and transferable skills to be said and to be drawn out from that. If you'd like to kind of enhance your application a little bit more, I suggest looking on Forage to see if there are any project-based experiences, because not only will these allow you to develop skills that are necessary, but it'll also allow you to explore careers. And then at the end, they give you like a list of bullet points based on the things that you've practiced and gained through the experience, and you can put those on your resume.
Yeah.
Okay, great. Thank you.
Thanks, Kelly, for that. And I think this actually, what Kelly shared, spoke to another question that came in to me directly was, they're interested in applying for URAP, but not sure how competitive they would be as a first year. So definitely make sure, like Forage, as Kelly's bringing up, there's some data science and software and consulting related projects on there. So while you have time this summer, it can be a great way to enhance your resume, and you can add those experiences once they're completed in a project section on your resume. So that can be one way to strengthen your resume for sure. But great questions. Any other questions? Would anyone, maybe we can also show you the appointment page, because I know we included a snapshot, but perhaps we can take a moment just to show you how to make appointments. Just for now, the resume or cover letter check-ins, you won't see them yet, but those will be visible right before the semester. So just know that appointment type you won't see yet, but Kelly is showing us how you can make an appointment in case that wasn't so clear, because I know students are sometimes like, oh, I don't quite get it. So we'll show you that.
Yeah.
Oh,
Oh,
Kelly.
go ahead, Heidi.
Oh, no, Kelly, go ahead.
Okay, so once you go onto the platform, it's just berkeley.joinhandshake.com. You're going to go to this left-hand side and click Career Center. It'll take you here, and appointments is going to be the first tab that you're going to look for, but there's also a bunch of other stuff like resources and things along those lines. So hit appointment, schedule a new appointment, and then it'll show you the different types that are available. So career counseling, and then as Heidi alluded to earlier, there's specialized counseling for like pre-professional tracks. So pre-health with our colleagues Emily and Idma, and then pre-law advising, which is offered by a number of career educators. And then we also mentioned that you can book an interview room. So this is where you would do that as well. So this is kind of what it looks like. Once you click on the appointment type that you'd like, it shows you what's available and goes over, highlights the date and the times. I will say as a quick note, during the first couple of weeks of the semester, we are highly impacted. So it might mean that there's a longer wait time, which is why we've offered the 15-minute resume and cover letter check-ins, as well as peer advisors. So if you don't see anything right away, don't get discouraged. Feel free to leverage those two resources, the drop-ins and peer advisors, and then check back because we do get cancellations. So you might be able to find something. Yeah, those are all the major things I wanted to flag here. And then while we're on Handshake, I guess I'll also show you the events tab. So as Heidi kind of shared a little bit earlier, there's a plethora of events. And so this is where you'll see that, and then you'll be able to see like employers and jobs as well. I would say when you have some time, I would just spend like 15 minutes getting familiarized with the platform, maybe completing your profile. And then if you are interested in learning more about Handshake, I'm going to drop a YouTube video that my colleague Lily Ritchie just created that demos the platform. So if you wanted like a deeper dive and some tips and tricks, that is a really great resource.
Thank you for that, Kelly. There were some questions that came into the chat, so we'll answer those questions and keep them coming. We want to make sure you have your questions answered, and no questions. Sometimes students will preface their questions with, I think this is a silly question, or no question is silly. It's our job to help you learn information that you want to know. Great question about what do freshmen do in the summer after their first year? Are they focusing more on classes, projects, building resumes, or getting internships? So it's all of those things depending on their interests and what they would like to explore. So some students will want to get some hands-on experience in an internship, and there are some internships. You can even look in Handshake like first year internships or freshman internships. There's some organizations like some big organizations that might have early career programs for first and second year students, just because they want to, provide exposure to students to those fields. Some students will want to do summer research. So there's something called Summer Undergraduate Research Fellowship Program, so SURF. And so that's something that you can access through or you can look at through the Office of Undergraduate Research. Well, we can pop that link into the chat. Some students will want to take classes, right? There are some students that might be pre-med that want to cover their prerequisites, right? And so it's going to be a range of those things. And that's why it's good to meet with us sooner than later to kind of develop a plan, because it's going to look different for each of you based on your interests. And it's certainly not necessary to do everything in the fall semester, right? The fall semester, you want to ease in, you want to see what's out there. But yeah, I've had some students I met that signed up for multiple things and then felt overwhelmed by the end of the fall semester. So just make sure you balance, right? Easing into the semester, doing well in your classes while also juggling other experiential learning opportunities.
Yeah, I would definitely echo that. One of the common things I hear from students, particularly students in their first semester at Cal, whether you're a first year student or a transfer student, is it can be quite overwhelming. Like, not only are you navigating a new space, but constantly people are talking about all the different opportunities they're pursuing. And so I'd highly encourage you to take the first semester to just kind of settle in, get acclimated, figure out who are your support systems, and then identify opportunities that you want to add in slowly and really prioritize. So focusing on the quality of your experiences rather than the quantity. I did get one quick question on a different topic. So this was on how do you schedule the 15-minute resume check-ins? Do we just drop in at the office? So for the 15-minute resume and cover letter check-ins, those are going to be offered at the start of the semester. So you'll be able to see them later on this month. And you can find them at 9 a.m. in the morning. That's when we release those appointments, and then you can book a slot. And then after, Heidi, is it the first 3 weeks of the semester? That's when they wrap up. Okay, so we offer those for the first 3 weeks of the semester. And then after that, you can just drop in during those drop-in hours and meet with the career advisor or peer advisor, I should say. So peer advisors are trained to give support on resume, cover letter critiques, all of that. In addition, I think they're a really valuable resource just to like talk to them about their experience at Cal so far, what their career goals are, what extracurriculars they've pursued. That way you can uncover different opportunities that you might not have heard of.
All right, I see a question, a good question. I'm not sure. I'm unsure about my general future, very common for all majors. What do you suggest for learning more about my potential opportunities and ideas? Definitely the resources that we shared earlier about where do Cal grads go can be a great starting point. We collect data from recent grads in all different majors to say, where are you going? And so for when students look at that, they often will see like, oh, I didn't know I could do this with this degree, or I didn't know that companies hired, right? Or what the job titles were. So that's a great place to start. The what can I do with my major can be a great way just to raise awareness with some career fields where you can use your skills. And this is where things like even like our events, right? And that's why going to these events can be a great way to see what's out there, what are employers looking for, because you may know about certain types of opportunities, but when you go to the fair and hear about the different internships, you might learn about more. Forage, as Kelly mentioned, is a great way to try on different types of work projects, because you might try on like a engineering project and feel like I really like that. And so that might give you a sense of just whether you like something or not. And lastly, a colleague reminded me about Calapalooza, which is the student org fair. Student orgs can be a great way to meet with alumni, employers, learn about career fields. So definitely encourage student orgs as a way to help you explore too. All right. Another question is, and I know we have 2 minutes left, so how can we explore work, study, or career opportunities outside of the US? And if we explore law career opportunities, even though I'm an undergrad, what would you recommend? And I know Kelly's bringing up some resources. And so we have Going Global, which is a great resource to help you explore international opportunities, as well as tips on how to apply for jobs in certain countries and cities abroad. And then we have Berkeley's global internship programs. The study abroad program has a great program that provides structure support for students who want to do internships abroad. And so I think that would be a great resource too. And then with law careers, Kelly, is there anything that you would recommend about exploring or career opportunities pertaining to law?
Yeah, so I would always start kind of like on campus, and student organizations like Phi Alpha Delta are a really great way to kind of build experience. What's nice about PAD is that in your first semester, you kind of get acclimated. And then in your second semester, you can take on additional leadership roles or join committees to build experience. So start by looking for on-campus opportunities, and CalLink is going to be the central kind of place or data bank for you to do so. So I'm going to pop this in the chat. And if you just type in keywords such as like pre-law or whatever else you're interested in, it'll give you some ideas on things you can look into. And then you can go into Calapalooza already familiar with a couple of orgs that you want to talk to or potentially join. And then additionally on campus, there are a bunch of like clinics, like the ASUC Legal Clinic is a great one where you can work one-on-one with clients and build your skills around that particular area. And then there are local organizations as well, such as the East Bay Sanctuary Covenant, Bay Area Legal Aid, for you to start building experience too. And then from there, what you could do is start to look for legal assistant internships on Handshake, Indeed, as a couple of platforms, just to name off the top of my head.
All right. I know so we are at the end of our event. I know there were some additional questions. Feel free to make an appointment with us. You'll see the slide deck and the recording. We'll send that out later, but you'll also have our email. So if you wanted to connect to ask questions, we are certainly available to answer your questions. Thank you everyone for just joining us today in the summer. We are so excited to see you. Please come and see us so that we can support you earlier than later, and have a great start to your first semester at UC Berkeley.
Bye everyone. Have a great weekend and welcome to Cal.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Bye. Have a good one.